Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca and I make videos about art, books, and whatever else I feel like sharing. Today that is 3 last minute DIY gift ideas. So let's get started with some bookmarks. This is, I guess you could say, level 1 out of the 3. You probably have everything you need to make this at home already. I am using this cardstock paper, but you can use whatever paper you have handy. The easiest way to go about this would probably be to trace around a bookmark that you already have and cut it out, or you could just wing it if you want and cut out strips of paper. What I ended up doing is cutting out these rounded rectangles using my Cricut machine just so they would be nice and even. So for this first one, I am decorating with some stamps. These are just some coffee ones that I found at Michael's. And I'm just testing that out off to the side here because this ink is a little bit old and it took a few tries to get a nice print. But once I did that, it was smooth sailing with these little coffee beans. And I like the little quote that says, "You're the cream in my coffee." It's so cute. Now you could just leave it like this, but I am going in with my watercolors here to add some fake coffee stains to the edge. So my goal was to make it look like you had set a cup of coffee on the bookmark and it left a little ring there. And I think it looks fairly realistic considering I didn't use real coffee and I did just use watercolors. I think I got the color close enough to be a bit believable. And if the person you're going to be giving this to doesn't like coffee, you can use whatever stamps you have handy. Maybe you have some holiday themed ones that would be really nice, or if they have something specific that they're really into, maybe a quote they like, you could write that on the bookmark as well. This second example is actually of a little bookshelf on the bookmark, and I've seen things similar to this on Pinterest as well as available on Etsy shops. And it's basically going to be a little bookshelf with books that the person can write down and keep track of the books they're reading on it. I did something very similar in my bullet journal, but thought it would still be nice to show you guys on a bookmark. Obviously, this fits less books on it than a notebook size sheet of paper would, but maybe the person you know doesn't read like 50 to 100 books per year. And this was a lot of fun because I just used markers and did some little doodles of like a plant on it along with the blank book spines, and you can really customize this a lot. If the person you're giving this to has a pet, you could maybe draw them at the bottom of the shelf. If they really like to travel, maybe you could draw a little globe. If you know what their favorite books are, instead of leaving the spines blank, you could make a little decorative version of each of their favorite books on a shelf, and I'm sure they would love that. Very, very customizable and pretty fun to make too. This next example is super easy. Literally anybody can do it, and you don't have to use markers for this. If all you have is a pen or a pencil even, you could just do little Zentangle doodles. But for this, I just made some little sections and colored them in with whichever colors I felt like. And I ended up kind of making a rainbow, but it's not really a rainbow. It's just kind of a gradient, I guess, going from purple to blues to greens to yellow, orange, red, and then kind of pink at the end. This was by far the easiest to do. Like I said, anybody could do this. You don't have to be an artist. As long as you can color in the lines, you're good. And I think this would also look really cool if you chose a different shape, such as filling the whole bookmark with circles. And this last example is also really simple. I just made a little zigzag green line using my watercolors, making sure it was smaller at the top and largest at the bottom to resemble a Christmas tree. And I added a little trunk to the bottom and then some little decorations like a star on top and some little red dots to represent ornaments or lights. You can make these bookmarks as simple or as fancy as you like, and I do recommend using some packaging tape, the clear kind, to laminate it. I do not have any, but that will make them a lot sturdier and will help to protect the designs that you do end up putting on your bookmarks. So definitely consider doing that, or maybe even a layer of matte Mod Podge. But this is how mine turned out. I think they're really cute. Next is dip mix ornaments, and I'm only showing one recipe here for dill dip. So you need 2 tablespoons parsley flakes, 1 tablespoon minced onion, 2 teaspoons of dill weed, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar, and you are just going to mix all of that in a bowl. Once you have mixed everything, you're going to want to transfer it into your ornament, and I did use a funnel for this to make things a bit easier. Now, if you don't have ornaments handy, you could just as easily put these in whatever containers you do have handy, or even just in a little plastic baggie and make a nice paper label to staple onto it. I actually decided to make little labels using my Cricut machine. This is one of the designs they already have available. It was free at the time. I'm not sure if it still is, but I just shrunk down the design and used the colors of paper that I wanted to use rather than their recommendations. You could also just cut out a little tag shape and hole punch a little spot to tie a ribbon, or you could print out a little tag and stick it on or glue it onto the ornament or bag. I am just writing what this is, so it's the dill dip mix, and then on the back I am writing that you can add the whole ornament to 2 cups of sour cream or Greek yogurt in order to make your mix. And then all that's left to do is tie the little tag to the ornament. Not going to lie, this was a bit of a struggle with the type of twine I had because it had this little sparkly thing woven through it, but I did finally manage to put a little bow into the string, and that is all I did. This is the final product. Super easy to make and hopefully will be enjoyed by whoever you give it to. And lastly, we have DIY wax melts. So for this, you will require some kind of silicone mold to use. I got these off of Amazon. They're candy molds by Rosanna Pansino, but I thought they would work really, really well for this, and I was right. And then you will need an old candle or a candle that you're willing to melt down. So the first thing you are going to want to do is to start heating up some water in a pot and stick a bowl on top to create a double boiler. Then we're just going to stick the candle right in there. This one did not have any glass around it, so it was super easy to just stick in the bowl and melt down. I'm also using an old spoon that I have set aside specifically for crafty things. If your candle is in a glass container, I would still recommend having a bowl in between to give you a bit more of a buffer rather than sticking the glass directly into the boiling water. And be very careful because this wax does get hot, but then I just transferred it into a container that's easier to pour from, this little measuring cup, so that I could pour the wax into the molds. I made a bit of a mess doing this, but that is okay because any excess wax can easily be broken off later on, so don't worry too much about making them perfect. And once you've done that, you're just going to want to let them sit and cure, I guess, at room temperature. And then here's a clip of what they looked like when I had first filled them up. And then here is a clip of once they had partially solidified. And finally, here's what they looked like when they had completely dried and were safe to remove from the silicone molds. And I tried to show popping out this one on camera. It was a bit of a struggle trying to hold the camera with one hand and pop out the mold, but believe me, they are really easy to pop out when you are using two hands. And I think they came out really cute. I love the pixel heart ones, but the little gemstone ones also look really cute. I think most people in my life would appreciate the gemstone ones more than the pixel hearts. And the way I suggest to gift these is in a little baggie. You could just put them in a plastic bag, but I had this little fancy star one and thought it was cute. And that is everything I had to share with you today. Let me know which of the 3 DIYs was your favorite, which ones you might try, and thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!